Welcome to Roundabout Creative Chaos, a podcast about people who make things and the stories behind why they do it. I'm Tammy Coron, and I'm joined by my compiled co-host, Tim Mitra, for episode 145, which was recorded on April 28th, 2026. On this episode, we talk with Herbert Wolverson. Herbert is a Rust developer, author, trainer, and co-founder of a community ISP in rural Missouri, and has spent years teaching one of the most demanding programming languages to everyone from junior developers to chip designers. He's written 3 books on Rust, co-maintains LibreQoS, a tool that recently got a school in Malawi online for the first time, and he once had a tooth fall out mid-class and kept right on teaching. The 3 of us talk about learning Rust through game development, the future of technical education, and what copy-pasting your homework at 30,000 feet says about where we're headed as a society. Are you ready to talk tech, music, arts, and zombies? I know we are, so grab your crossbow and let's get this episode started. What is this? Need more streaming power? I don't need more streaming power. They're always trying to upsell. Yep. I just gave them like $250. They're like, no, we want more. All right. So welcome to the show, Herbert.
Oh, thank you for having me. Hopefully you can hear me. I just had really hot pizza and managed to burn my mouth. So Actually, I had a hallucinatory pizza.
You had a hallucinatory pizza?
I forgot we didn't have pizza. And I had planned to throw a pizza in the oven, so I found this chicken with pizza sauce thing and threw that in the oven instead. So I hallucinated an entire pizza I was looking forward to. And my daughter was saying, Daddy, you're wrong. This is not pizza.
Our show is pretty relaxed. It's pretty chill. We don't really have a script or anything. We just sort of go where the conversation goes. I'm trying something new.
In fact, this is the show, right?
This is the show. Yeah, this is the show. Welcome to the show, Herbert.
Awesome.
Yeah,
surprise.
Surprise, yep. You're on it. We're beginning. No, it's pretty simple, I think. But Tim, should we start the show the way we always start the show?
How do we normally start the show?
I don't know. It's been too long.
It's been like 6 years or 7 years, right?
It's been, yeah. You're our second official guest on our reboot show. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
Okay, I'm Herbert Wolverson. I do everything. I help out run an internet service provider in central Missouri. I work for a open source project called LibreQoS. I work for Arden Labs, flying around teaching Rust to anyone who will listen, which in the age of AI is getting to be less and less. And I write books. I just released Advanced Hands-on Rust, and it's doing pretty well. And I make video games for fun, chase my daughter around, and anything else I can get my hands on, really. I'm not good at being idle.
So how'd you get into computers?
So my father is... Well, first of all, my father is completely insane. He... has a biochemistry master's from Cambridge, then went into teaching. And the English system, the more degrees you get, the more they pay you. And there's a thing called the Open University that lets you get more degrees distance learning. So he went out and got one in computer science and math and physics, and he just... I swear his resume, the academic section of his resume is bigger than my whole CV. But he got moved sideways, started teaching computers. And this was about 1980 or so. And so he was bringing me into work, and at one point we were mailing punch cards off to the university. He had me punching out the halls. Then we got a little BBC Micro, which is like an Apple II, but British.
Yeah.
And so started playing games, doing cool stuff. And then one day he made the mistake of saying, you can have all the computer time you want playing games as long as you wrote the games. And so I was copying the stuff from magazines and then trying to actually do it myself and just never stopped.
What language were you writing the games in?
The first one I think was BASIC.
Okay.
BBC BASIC is a weird BASIC that had actual procedures and functions instead of GoSub, but so it was kind of nice. Then he got me using Pascal because he told me that I needed it for school. I went to school and they were using C, so I learned C. Spent way too long doing C++, C#, Java. These days I'm a Rust guy. I was doing a game with Unreal Engine. I got so sick of C++, I was going to kill someone. So I was on a Discord and I said, okay, what are the cool kids learning today? And they said Rust. And so I gave it a go, and weirdly enough, I'm a masochist. I liked it. So
How long ago was that?
oh god, a long time. It was around Rust 1.0 coming out, so at least 10 years.
Yeah, because you're considered Mr. Rust, right? The Rust guy.
Oh, well, there's lots of other people who get that title too, but yeah.
You have that title. I've seen it. I've seen it online.
I've been called that. Yes, it's and it's always kind of weird too when somebody recognizes me, because it's like I shouldn't be famous. I write obscure games that involve knights running around killing goblins.
Yeah, but you went from writing. I mean, you had that roguelike tutorial is where you started before you got into writing books. I mean, what was that? That was a free tutorial you had online. It was like something like 79 chapters or something.
It's up to 86 now.
Is it up to 86? Oh my.
Well, it started out as me blogging my first efforts with Rust. So the first couple of chapters there are how not to write Rust. And then I kind of had some revelations, figured out how to do stuff. And so I figured I've started writing, I'll keep writing, and just never stopped until my daughter came along. So
How old is your daughter now?
4.
4, okay.
Is she into coding?
She's pretty good at cause and effect, but I don't think she's quite coding yet. You can give her an iPad, and I don't know how little kids do it, but they can figure out the iPad drag and drop so much better than I can. And she's quite capable with using apps. I haven't seen her actually make something beyond drawing daddy or whatever.
It's a start. How did you make the jump from tutorial writer? Well, even before that, from just playing around with games to writing, and then from online blogging basically to book writing, because it's a pretty. I mean, granted, 86 chapters is quite a haul, but how do you go from a tutorial to a book?
It surprised me as much as everybody else. So this fellow named Erland, I cannot pronounce his last name. It's Norwegian, and I'm going to mangle it. Erland Sogen Harlan, I think it is. Got in touch with me and said, hey, I really like your tutorial, and I know a publisher. And the next thing I knew, I was chatting with Dave Rankin from Prague. And he looked at the tutorial and obviously liked what he saw, but he didn't want that tutorial as the book. So a couple of turnarounds later, he said, hey, you're writing a book and Tammy's your editor.
Oh, yeah. Full disclosure, Tim. I know what book he's talking about because I edited it.
I'm not surprised at all. So,
and I was the terrible author who, was late on every chapter. So
you were late on every chapter, which is fine. I think most authors are kind of late on every chapter. You get the kind that just rush through everything and deliver it way ahead of schedule, and then they sort of get ahead of themselves where they write before they should be writing, and then they got to go back and do a lot of revisions because the story doesn't end up where they think it's going to end up. But you did pretty good for... I couldn't even call you a first-time author because, like I said, you were working on your own stuff, your own blog. I guess you're still doing that then, huh?
A bit. And, I should say I cheated. I I went through a teenage rebellion where I ran away from computer programming to try and become a lawyer, which, is completely the wrong way around. But I actually have a law degree, a poli-sci degree, and a master's in defense and strategic studies, and ended up writing this enormous, 300-400 page tome on terrorism. So I had written stupid amounts of text before. And, I really don't recommend, if you're really into computers, deciding to become a lawyer.
Why did you rebel? I mean, if you basically grew up with a computer in your hand, which is what it sounds like, how did you go from that to law school? And then what brought you back?
So, that teenage urge to do the exact opposite of what you should?
Yeah.
Nobody said no strongly enough. And so I was quite convinced, I'm doing all this computer stuff for fun. I don't want to do this for real. And my math skills aren't up to it, which they may not have been for a formal comp sci degree back then. So law and poli-sci sounded fun. And honestly, I really enjoyed the political science. I enjoyed law right up until my first internship, when I found myself mediating between a couple who were divorcing. And the woman looks right at me and says, "I want the car. I do not want the kid."
Oh.
And the kid's right there in the corner. And the dad says, "Well, I want the car. You get the kid." And they're loudly fighting on making sure the kid, who's literally over there in the corner, goes to the other one. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm not allowed to kill you, which is what I really want to do. And so after a couple like that, I was like, I don't want to do this for 40 years because I will kill someone.
Then you'll need a defense attorney.
Yeah. Actually, defense attorney was the easiest one in a way because everybody has a good story. It was the civil matters that I just really couldn't handle.
It's got to be rough to be in the middle of something like that, though. It's a lot easier to deal with ones and zeros. You kind of know where you stand with those.
Yeah, I thought about probate because that way my client is dead.
Right. But it's...
Can't argue with them.
There's a lot of paperwork involved in being a lawyer, though, isn't there?
Oh, a phenomenal amount. And that's not too... Honestly, you get used to it. It's kind of filling out the same thing over and over again, so it's just dull.
Right. Is that a good job for AI, do you think, seeing it's this repetitive?
If it ever stops hallucinating?
Well, as long as it doesn't try to eat chicken pizza, I think we're fine, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the models are getting dumber.
I think they're out of compute, and they're just allocating less computer time to them.
You think so? Because my biggest fear with it is that there's a lot of... I don't want to use the word unregulated, but there are a lot of people who are using AI to just churn out content, and they don't really understand the underlying technology that they're letting AI write about or create. So they're putting it out in the wild as is with very limited oversight. And then AI's coming in and training on that. And it's like, I feel like there's just generational loss happening. It reminds me of the old VHS days. It's like, how many times can you make a copy of a copy before it degrades to the point where it's unwatchable? And it feels like AI is doing that right now.
Yeah, it's the Ouroboros, eating its tail. I know OpenAI released these papers on how they train mostly on synthetic data now after the pre-train. So you have, they literally pay millions of people to write Q&As, turning content into question-answer pairs, use that to train. And then they feed that into a model, and then that model spits out training material for the next model. So it's like we're playing Chinese whispers now, that you've got something that's already been translated once going in, then something's getting translated on the way out, and then that's being, scrunched up into the network. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I will say that coding performance is much better than it used to be. It still does some truly horrific things, but it's better than it used to be. I'm torn on what I should say here, because on one level, AI is kind of destroying the training industry. Nobody is hiring me to train right now because they can ask Chat or Claude. the other hand, little kid me, if you'd told me that I can sit down and tell my computer to make Flappy Bird,
Yeah.
and 30 minutes later it runs, I wouldn't have believed you. That's just, sci-fi.
So what are you going to do if AI comes in and it's basically doing what your job was? I mean, where do you think that puts you and other technical writers today?
Now, I've been threatening to open a sheep farm on a small island off the coast of England, but and we are actually buying a cottage on the Isle of Wight. So
Well, you are from England, right?
I am, yes. Although you can't really tell anymore.
I don't know. I could tell.
There's a hint. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm currently doing is I've picked a bunch of open source projects. I've been engaging and actually making enough donations from NLNet that my income hasn't really dropped, which is kind of awesome because I'm actually finally doing something. I'm getting stories back that I'm helping people. So LibreQoS is a really hard one to explain, but basically it makes the internet latency better when you don't have enough internet and you have too many people.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes the experience more usable. And got an email not so long ago from a guy in Malawi just showing me pictures that, hey, this school internet is usable for the first time ever, and it's all thanks to what you guys are doing. And so I'd like to do more of that because that's kind of awesome.
How did you get involved in that?
So I got involved. Okay, so I was minding my own business. My messenger lights up, and this guy I've never met before. The message starts with, "I've heard you're the only guy who's crazy enough to try this." And so that got my attention. But I really need some C written that will allow this bit of code to work with IPv6. And I'll buy you a pizza. And that's a magic word. So I worked for a week and I got my pizza. And got talking to them. And the guy was Dave Tutt, who's been a Linux kernel developer. He actually passed away last year, but he was a Linux kernel developer from about 1999 to last year. And he co-invented a thing called fqcodl and later version called Cake that literally takes the packets going into your computer and fixes the timing on them so that they're exactly spaced out so as the pipe is perfectly utilized, and makes sure that little traffic gets priority over big traffic. So if you're downloading, so if Jimmy decides to download Call of Duty downstairs, your Zoom call is still smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all it does. But so I've been working on that for the last 3 years now, I think. And NLNet, this foundation in Europe, is kind enough to pay me for it. So
how's that implemented in like a real situation, like the school in Malawi, for example?
Yeah, so we set it up as a program you put on a computer with two Ethernet ports, and you plug one side towards the internet, one side towards your network, and it transparently applies it on the way through. So that's kind of cool, and I'm kind of proud of that.
Yeah, it sounds really useful.
You started an ISP company or something like that, I read.
Like 12 years ago. I barely work there anymore. I actually pay them to have my desk now. So,
how did you get involved in all that?
a fellow in Walmart overheard me talking about a server and said he needed someone who knew how to fix Windows NT and Linux. And so that turned into a job interview the next morning, and all of a sudden I was doing crazy stuff with ISPs. And it's a weird ISP, too. They're not meant to make a profit. They're set up as a community thing to try and get wireless internet out to the parts of Missouri that nobody will go to.
Right.
When you started working on because you have 3 books now with Prague, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got the hands-on
Rust Brain Teasers, and Advanced Hands-on Rust. Brain Teasers is the one I always forget. So
yeah, what did you think of the experience of writing with a publisher and doing all that? I mean, it was your big first project where you were working with an editor and an entire book production team.
I mostly liked it.
Mostly? You loved your editor, right? I mean, let's just get that out
absolutely.
of the way. Okay, good. Just checking. Got to make sure.
No, you're actually the best part, because I love being able to get. So I loved being able to get a chapter together. Sometimes I'd actually write part of the next one because I didn't know how to connect. Wasn't sure where the connection should be. Send that off, get good constructive comments. I actually really enjoy everything up to copy editing when I find out just how bad my spelling is. And I wonder about the people who do that. I could not read through a technical manual and remember that 300 pages ago I capitalized this word.
Oh, really?
And yet somehow they pull that off.
It's all done with style sheets. You have to, I mean, there's your base house style, and there's whatever your main style would be, if it's Chicago or whatever you're using. So there's that. But when it comes to a technical book, you have to keep a kind of like a balance sheet, a separate thing. That's why when it goes through copy editing, a book, especially a tech book, goes through copy editing. If there's any strange spellings or any weird things that you need to know about it, it's got to come up front because it can get changed. Like, for example, if you're writing a U.S. English book and you would spell the word behavior, but in some programming languages you spell it differently, and if you don't let your copy editor know that, they'll change it on you because you're writing American English and there's no extra random U's in American English.
That's one thing. I wrote all 3 books in British English.
I know you did.
And then translated. But
I would catch the random U's every now and again. Why choose something like Rust to write about and then do it through by way of games versus some other type of programming example? What is it about teaching through games that you like the most?
It's partly it mirrors how I learned. I mean, I learned C because I wanted to play multi-user dungeons, and I'd heard that they were all written in C, so I sat down and learned enough C to make that work. That I needed at school was incidental. But it's also, I don't know, I can give you a really dry, boring book telling you all about how safe Rust is. Or I can have you make something fun and you're kind of learning the language by accident because you're achieving something. And to me, that last one is a much better learning experience.
Yeah, I think the magic of coding is I think that's the part that's attractive to a lot of people, right? Like the fact you can have it do something when you click that button or whatever. Yeah,
I mean, and I think I've been on that high since I was 6 years old, so...
What is it about Rust, though? I mean, there's 1,000 languages out there that you could be writing about or using. I'm sure that you don't just, well, maybe you do. Do you solely stick to Rust or?
No. Although the majority of what I do is in Rust nowadays. I still write in C, Python, TypeScript, and anything else that happens to be in front of me, but... I liked Rust because it's basically C++, but without so many ways to machine gun my feet off.
You don't like machine gunning your feet off? What's the matter with you?
Oh, I mean, I do if I don't have a deadline, but C++ is such a weird language because you can't teach it because it's really like 6 languages. It's such a huge, enormous language that... even talking to 2 C++ programmers, the chances are they don't speak the same dialect. Whereas Rust, is new enough that it's kind of unified, so it's at least something I can explain. I can share with people. Honestly, when I first saw the syntax, I was like, oh, what on earth am I looking at? It's grown on me. I don't know if that's Stockholm Syndrome or if it's good, but it's honestly, there's a lot of... Now that I've got used to it, it makes sense to me. And I really do like the concurrency story where race conditions, where 2 things alter the same bit of memory at once and weird-ass stuff happens, are basically impossible. And that's kind of inspired me to do a lot of things that I'd have been afraid to do before.
Would you say that Rust is your go-to language? Like if someone comes to you and they say, I've got this project that I need, or you're starting your own project, is that the first language you think about, or do you think about the project and which language would work better for it?
So there's a catch-22 there that I get marketed as Rust expert. So usually nowadays people come to me wanting Rust. Usually, though, I tell everybody use the right tool for the job. So if it should be a Python script, please just write some Python. If you need the speed, power, all that good stuff of Rust, use Rust. If you're writing Linux kernel code and it's not the little bit that is Rust friendly yet, you probably need to use C. You know, it's I try really hard not to be a zealot. And one of my first ever conference speeches was actually at GopherCon of all things. They wanted me to do a introduction to Rust for Go developers, which I just thought was weird. And I made sure my first slide just said "I come in peace" because I just don't believe in language wars. I'm maybe when I was 15, but not anymore.
But do you believe in IDE wars?
Oh, IDE wars? Well, I'm sponsored by JetBrains, so I admit I occasionally use other ones, but if I'm in public, I'm using a JetBrains.
I like JetBrains.
They are really nice people too.
Yeah.
So that helps.
Yeah, I have what I'm looking at down here. I got Rider down here and PyCharm, and those are all JetBrains, yeah?
Yep. And they have a fellow named Vitaly who is one of the most scary good programmers I've ever met. Gives amazing seminars, and he keeps lighting up my email with here's more free stuff. So
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if somebody's getting into computers now in today's day and age, where do you recommend they start? Do you recommend they just launch ChatGPT and ask it to tell them something, or stick with a certain language? I'm just now coming out of college, or I'm coming out of high school, and I think I want to do a career in computers. Where do I start?
Oh man, we've been wrestling with that really hard at the training job because nobody's hiring juniors right now.
Right.
We are in this bizarre situation that they've realized that the senior programmers can tell the AI what to do best. So you have senior programmers whose job it is to yell at ChatGPT for 8 hours a day, and nobody's hiring juniors.
Right.
And nobody wants to ask the question, where is the next batch of juniors coming from?
Or seniors.
Sorry, next batch of seniors coming from? And, if you believe social media, nobody should be studying computers at all anymore. Now, what I'm trying to argue for is you should absolutely still learn. You'll tell the AI what to do a whole lot better if you understand what you're asking for.
Right.
I think there's a good opportunity to have our lovely little robotic plagiarism machines regurgitate some training and actually teach the stuff to you. At the same time, I saw a study the other day that they took a class, one studied traditionally, one other class studied with AI. And when they did self-assessment, the people who AI studied were like 80% yes, we've got this. And the people who self-studied were like 50% we've got this. And then on the actual grades, it was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, there needs to be a teaching mode that actually tells you when you're wrong rather than, what is it? You're absolutely right.
That's a great question, Tammy.
That's a great suggestion, yeah.
That's probably the most frustrating thing about using AI is its desire to tell me how perfect and great I am, even though I'm none of those things. And it's like, it's basically blowing smoke up your butt, right? And it's very frustrating. I don't think any teacher would do that to a student.
No, and you can turn that stuff off, though.
I've tried. It keeps coming back.
I did manage to get my ChatGPT to be dark and cynical for a while.
Nice.
It doesn't stick. I have to go and up the darkness and cynicism even more every time they update. But I've yet to have it say that's a really dumb idea. But I finally got it to stop saying this is that's not a computer program. That's a revolution.
So you said that you are doing teaching and training, and obviously you're with the tutorials and the books you're writing. Do you think that it was a natural progression given your upbringing with your father? Well, your mother is also a teacher. Is that?
Yeah, my parents are both teachers, and their parents are teachers, so I could not escape.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like a natural progression for you. But again,
Oh, and I'm married to a teacher.
are you? See, you just
Yeah.
that's pretty deep. I worry about teachers moving forward. You know, my son is going into special education, and it's like I don't know if people are going to be learning from humans later in the future. I have no idea what's going to happen. But back to you, it seems like a natural progression for you. I'm wondering if you prefer to be standing up in front of people and doing that live training, or if you prefer doing the written work, if there's a preference at all between the two of them.
Written. Despite doing it for years, I still get stage fright. Still find it incredibly unnerving to stand up in a room full of 20 people. And especially lately, my last few training jobs have all been at defense companies with really experienced people. And so not only am I terrified, I'm also got imposter syndrome, because it's like, wait, I'm training a guy who actually makes chips that went into space.
So how do you wrestle with that? How do you get past that stage fright? Because I'm sure we have listeners here that are, you know, just getting into the business of giving talks and things like that. What advice can you offer them?
So I pretend it's a D&D game, and I'm the dungeon master. And I really drink too much coffee and try very hard to be approachable and self-deprecating. And if I can get them laughing in the first 10 minutes, it's going to be a good class. If they're staring at me with their mouths open after 10 minutes, I know that I'm just going to be robotic. But
when you're planning out your training materials for your live talks versus working on tutorials in your books, do you have a method for outlining or anything like that?
Actually, it's the same for both.
Okay.
Because I end up basically writing a book for each corporate training I do. And I'm very much a pyramid writer. I start with the big headings, make sure that they're going in roughly the right direction, then start filling in smaller headings, and then rearranging until it looks like it flows. And then I will actually write some useful words and figure out what code needs to go where.
Do you start with the project first or the words first?
I start with the outline first. So usually what I'll know going into either a book or a training is roughly what I want to cover. So I usually have a good idea at the beginning and the end, and I'm not quite sure how to get through the middle. So I typically start throwing headings in until I've got what looks like a nice comprehensive list of everything that you should learn on the way through. Then I shuffle them around until the order looks like something that you can possibly teach. Because it's really easy to realize, hey, I need to teach this, but oh no, that depends on this, and this. So it's kind of a big shuffle. And then I start throwing in subheadings until it kind of looks like a narrative. And weirdly enough, this is how I was taught to write back in high school English. And it's not failed me yet. You know, knock on chocolate milk, because I don't have any wood. But it works. It's suspiciously like planning a D&D game or writing a story. And really, they're all the same skills. And as you may have gathered, I had a misspent youth of D&D and computer games. So.
Well, I mean, your whole book is a roguelike tutorial.
Oh, it is. I didn't say I hadn't had an adulthood of misspent on D&D and games.
So I was going to be the devil's advocate here and ask both of you, I guess. I mean, it sounds to me like putting together a course outline, writing the steps and pieces like that would be something AI would actually be good at. Or even copy editing, like you mentioned before, Tammy. Like I tend to write stuff and then I throw it at ChatGPT and say, make it look better, and it does.
Yeah, but does it give you lots of filler words like actually and really and genuinely?
No.
No?
No, trims it right down.
Now, I usually use it in a question sense of tell me all the things I got wrong in this document, and then I will fix it.
Yeah.
Because my experience has been that it changes my voice too much.
You
can really tell which pages I wrote and which pages I didn't write. And
I need an editor to tell me that.
I did once realize, oh no, I have an entire 2-page slide missing from the class that I'm teaching in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Hey, ChatGPT, here's the outline, fill it in. And that was the only one that didn't compile. Didn't work, so I had got to live debug it in front of 20 people.
I mean, isn't that always the way with demos, though? It's like the demo gods arrive and nothing works.
Oh, absolutely. And you get used to it. And honestly, that's good advice to anybody doing speaking for the first time. Is it will go wrong, and if you lean into it, your audience thinks you're human, and that's good. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about your comment earlier about teaching chip designers. Is that somebody once told me once, if you can teach somebody one thing, you will have made their life, etc., better. But I mean, like you're Mr. Rust, right? So if I'm coming to you as a chip designer and wanting to learn Rust, I would think that learning that from you would be better than not learning it. You know what I mean? Like you're the.
I hope so.
Even though we all have, like you said before, imposter syndrome, right?
It's fun because I learned from him too. But and the risk is when you've got other people in the room who aren't on their level, it turns into a conversation with me and him because we'll have way too much fun. But he needed to learn Rust because the company was moving to Rust. And so my job was to partly make him feel better because he was smart enough he could have figured this out on his own. But also show him some of the stuff I ran headlong into so that he wouldn't have to.
Right.
I mean, half my teaching method, honestly, is, hey, don't be me. When I do this, it explodes.
I don't know that that's a good teaching method. You think so?
It's surprisingly effective. If you've got, especially for the more experienced classes, you get a room full of people nodding sagely if you admit your mistakes, and then show how the language stops you from doing that.
Yeah, I think humanizing does help a lot too. Like, so I do the same sort of thing. I lean on humor to break the ice with people and take the edge off, right? But I find when I'm standing in front of a bunch of people and trying to give them a talk or whatever, there's that initial, I have to jump in the water and it's going to be cold feeling.
Yes. Yeah, especially if it's a setup where you're not in the same room as someone during setup.
Oh, right, yeah.
In some ways it kind of helps if you're setting up and they're all setting up. You bump into each other, have coffee, talk, and they realize, hey, what a great day I'm going to have because there's a deaf guy drinking coffee. And
I want to go back to your 3 books that you've got with Prague, Hands-on Rust, Advanced Hands-on Rust, and the Brain Teasers. Now, Brain Teasers was a little bit different for you in terms of the type of book, right? Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between writing the tutorial style book and then the Brain Teasers book? Well, you might want to tell us what Brain Teasers are to start with.
Yeah, so the Brain Teasers books are meant to be short. I went way over my page limit. Collection of puzzle type things where they show you some code that is kind of tricky or odd and ask you what it does, or does it compile, what happens, and then the next couple of pages explain to you why that result is. The theory is you read it, you think about the puzzle, you flip over, get the answer, hopefully learn something. If nothing else, it's good entertainment. It's also weird. It's the only book I've ever not applied to write. I actually got a call saying they needed someone to write it. Would I be interested? And so I'm glad it happened. I discovered that style is not really me. I'm far too wordy for that type of book. The other brain teaser books are very punchy. Mine is a studious stroll through why does this floating point addition not work, because point 1 plus point 2 equals point 3 unless you're a computer. So it was an odd experience. I'm glad I got the book out there, and I've had people say nice things about it, so it can't be terrible. At the same time, it was kind of weird because it's really different to how I think, if that makes any sense.
Well, how do you think? I mean, it might make sense. What do you mean?
I tend to think of a book as having a beginning, a middle, and an ending, whereas Brain Teasers is jump topic every 3 pages.
Yeah, it's like a cookbook, right?
Yeah, so you're trying to think of 15 interesting, fun things, and then say something briefly about each of them. And that briefly part is where I struggle.
When you made the jump from hands-on Rust to advanced hands-on Rust, what led you to that decision to take the first book, which is doing very well, and then come out with a second one and take it further? And how did you decide what that meant?
It was partly because when I finished hands-on Rust, I felt like I could have written another 300 pages, and you and Dave Rankin would have killed me. So I felt like I was finishing the story, because I felt like we'd got through the beginner material really, really pretty well, and by the end of it, you should have a lot of stuff down. I felt like there was a whole bunch of stuff just above that I pointed at but never really talked about or used in any real way. So I kind of felt like the ladder was incomplete, needed another rung, and so the advanced book is there to wrap up the story.
Now, one book used Bracket Lib and the other one used Bevy, right, for the engines?
Yeah. I went with Bevy because almost everybody's going with Bevy now. In the first one, I went with Bracket Lib because there wasn't an equivalent, so I made the library.
So for those of you who don't know what you're talking about, what are the 2 things you're talking about?
Okay, so Bracket Lib is a very simple game engine designed for old-style games. You remember when dungeon games looked like a little @ symbol walking around, little line drawn, and you see a goblin, it's a G, so you go and hit the G and take his stuff. It was built for that type of game, and I added graphics, but I created it because I needed it, and there wasn't really an equivalent all those years ago. And the Bevy engine actually came out when my book was in beta, and Erland, who recommended me to begin with, sent me a message saying, "Is it too late to rewrite your book to use this?" And I just replied with one word, "Yes." It's already in beta. I cannot rewrite the book. They will kill me. So I went with it for the second book, and it was good in the sense that the book has an engine that people use. Bad in the sense that that engine updates way too often. I think I fixed the code that goes... I had to go back and fix all the code at least 5-6 times during the creation of the book, and that was driving me a little nuts. It's a really cool engine, though, and I was surprised to discover that Alice, who works on it, is actually human, because every time I've submitted a patch to that engine, I get a reply from Alice in about 10 minutes. I figured Alice had to be a bot, and at Rust Nations, I actually met her and discovered, no, she's real. She's just, that dedicated.
Wow.
Can you tell us why an engine and why not something else? I mean, what is the point of using a game engine and not just writing all the code yourself?
So it's all kind of what level you want to start at. I mean, if you want to, you can write directly to the video card and it'll work. But then the book will be 700 pages, and all of it is about how to write to the video card. Next level up, there are libraries like OpenGL, Vulkan, and things. Now it's only a 500-page book, but most of the book is how do I get something to appear on the screen, and a little bit about learning Rust. So the idea of the engine is that it's done the hard work. allowing me to simplify so I can teach you something easy without you first having to figure out how everything else works. It's kind of like that terrible joke, God created the earth, humanity is saying, we've got water in earth. We can make water, we can make everything. Well, make your own atoms. It's like, yes, you can. You really can go down and do it all yourself if you want to, but the engine is just there to stop you from having to start with a deep understanding of the computer.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make a decision on which engine to use? Like, if you're just new to game development, where do you start?
It depends what age group you're in, but I point little kids at that MIT little drag and drop game creator all the time. And RPG Maker is great too, because you can basically draw what you want, start attaching behaviors, go deeper. If you're a little more advanced than that, Unity or Unreal, but Unity is easier to get going with. If you want to use a full-fledged, if you've picked a platform like I want to be in Rust, I'd go with Firefox or Bevy because they're well established. There's lots of documentation, lots of examples. I don't know if I would say I would recommend picking up Bevy and trying to make a full something as nice as Quake right away. That's the mistake I see lots of kids make is I'm going to make a game and it's going to be the next World of Warcraft. No, well, make Flappy Bird first.
Yeah.
Enjoying the show? Good. We want to keep it that way. If you've got a guest suggestion, a story to share, or just something to say, we want to hear from you. Send us a message at interviews@roundaboutcreativechaos.com. Now, where were we?
Well, if you're seated comfortably, Herbert, we have the section of the show where we ask you some 13 or so questions, 13 plus 1, I think. And we get to know you a bit better, unfurl the flag or unpeel the onion, as it were.
Sure.
So if you're ready, we can dig in. These are some of them are based on the work of Marcel Proust, the Marcel Proust questionnaire. So if we're ready, we'll start with the first one. What is your favorite word?
Oh my goodness. I want to say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, just because my daughter and I have been saying that a lot.
Can you say it backwards?
No.
Docious ali expiatius fragicalirupus.
Nice.
Thank you.
My favorite word. That's actually a really tough one. In terms of most frequently used word, it would be it depends. Just 2 words, but I'm really good at too.
Yeah. So I have Tammy, this is a sort of a side note here, but I have a joke about supercalifragilistic.
I would love to hear your joke about supercalifragilistic.
So Mahatma Gandhi, as you know, walked barefoot most of the time and produced an impressive set of calluses on his feet. He also ate very little, which made him rather frail, and with his odd diet, he suffered from bad breath, which made him a supercalist fragile mystic hex by halitosis.
I'm going to end this call anyway. That's it. We're done. We're done.
All right. What is your least favorite word?
Y'all.
Y'all?
Y''ALL. That word should not exist.
How about all y'all?
I came to Missouri and had no idea why people were referring to steering boats.
Securing boats, yeah. So, what do you fear the most?
It used to be heights and getting better. These days, dentists.
Dentists, yeah. I could agree with both of those, actually.
Especially after my last dental experience.
Yeah. So what's something you own that can't be replaced?
That cannot be replaced. My mother's actually looking after it for me, but we have a first edition copy of The Hobbit.
Ooh.
And I really can't replace that. So, and finally, it's one of the best purchases ever too, because my mum picked it up when it was new and had no idea that it was going to be a success.
Wow.
And she gave it to me, but she keeps it on her shelf, locked away, and calls it her precious. So
that's from what, 1930 or something? When was it written?
it was first published in before the war, so 1920s, 1930s. And I think her mother may have bought it, but
I see. Okay, cool. What could you what could you watch, read, or listen to on repeat forever?
Man, nothing. I'm really bad at rewatching things. Wow, really anything by Queen, or something ridiculous like Dio's Greatest Hits. And the great thing there is I can turn my hearing aid off, so I'm not really listening anymore.
Okay. Who's your favorite fictional character?
Oh wow. I'd say in some ways the modern TV version of Sherlock Holmes, because he makes no sense whatsoever, and I can really sympathize looking at a room coming out with far too many analytical things, and it all made sense to me.
Yeah.
I was at a kids' party. One of the moms was saying, "Oh, I don't know how many kids I need to fill the house," and my math brain kicks in, and before I can control myself, I'm multiplying the size of our house by the square footage of a child and come out with about 1,100.
Okay. And we're talking about the BBC version with Benedict Cumberbatch, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and Martin Freeman.
Yeah, I was trying so hard not to have to remember his name, Cumberbatch, because my wife calls him Cumberbunchy.
Yeah, the question to Tammy is, have you seen that version of Sherlock Holmes?
I have not, Tim. You should know. You should know I have not seen that.
Well, you have homework now.
I do.
And you will enjoy it. What's the worst job Oh, sorry, I just skipped the question. What have you changed in your... I'll start again. What have you changed... What...
It's not
She rewrote the questions.
But I took out the word regret because you couldn't say that one. So.
Oh yeah, well you took that out before we even started this new season.
I did.
What have you changed your mind about in the last year?
In the last year, wow, I've been so busy chasing a 4-year-old around. Little children are sweetness, light, and adorable. I got my first call from the daycare that my little one had been in a fight. I get there, and there's a 5-year-old boy with a bloody nose, and my daughter's looking smug. And it turns out he tried to take her blankie, and she has a mean left hook. So I've definitely learned that children are not as the sweet, innocent things you expect them to be. So that's a nice, delicate one. I also I'm a lot less optimistic about AI now. I've spent the last few months researching how it works.
Okay, all right. What is the worst job you've ever had?
Door-to-door paint sales.
Okay.
I came back from college. I needed a job that I wouldn't keep because I knew I was going to be flying off to Missouri to do a master's degree. And I found this temp position that I was supposed to go door to door, persuading people to get their house painted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I accepted the job. I did it for about a day. And then there's a TV show in England called Watchdog, which is a TV show dedicated to exposing corporate crimes. And it's my employer talking about how they send young people door to door to harass old people into wasting their money on paint that doesn't work anyway. And so I didn't see this until the next day when my mother called me to find out who exactly I was working for. And I was like, okay, well, do I quit? I've been there 3 days, but I have to leave in a week.
Right. So what did you do?
I actually went along and didn't sell anything. I achieved 0 sales in 4 days.
Did they pay you for your efforts of not selling anything?
They were meant to, and it never cleared. So.
Well, there's a surprise, yeah.
But otherwise, I was going to be staring at walls. So.
Yeah. So, what are you most proud of? Honestly,
I would say getting a book out there, and now it's getting multiple books out there.
Mm-hmm.
I was short-term proud that I saw on RustConf they announced the workshops, and for some reason I'm at the top billing, and it's like, how did that happen? These guys are better than me. But
well, you are Mr. Rust.
But growing up, my parents always idolized authors as sort of the best superhumans on the planet, and I got there, and I made my mom proud. So
Nice, yeah, yeah. What unfinished business do you have?
I don't know. I don't think I'm done writing. I'm gonna have to find a different way to write though, because the publishing industry is not in good shape right now. I'm currently on a quest to find a medium that works. I feel like teaching needs some revamping, and I haven't got the answer yet, but I'm trying to find it. So that's kind of where I am. And it's also, I discovered I hate telling an AI what to do for 8 hours. I love the thrill of the chase, understanding the problem, finding it, fixing it, and then you feel good. So I'm trying to find some way to reconcile that with telling an AI what to do.
Maybe you could write a screenplay, because they only have like 7 plots currently in most screenplays.
That's true.
You can come up with a new one. All right. Zombies, aliens, or robots? Who is coming for us first?
Robots.
Robots? I think see above comments.
Yeah, that, a friend of mine was cleaning a 3M factory a decade ago, and they had this prototype cleaning robot that somehow or other managed to back her into a closet and not let her leave until the morning. So I've known for years they're coming after us.
Oh, really?
That's terrifying.
All right. Well, this is an important question. It's always been an important question on our show here. But so, what would you do in a zombie apocalypse?
Die horribly. I am.
He's bait, then, Tammy.
He's bait.
I am not a combat monster. I can run faster than some other people, so probably wouldn't die first. But
that is the important skill. Run faster than the guy next to you.
Yeah. But other than that, I could probably come up with some impressive locks. That might slow them down.
Right.
And I can cook. Maybe they like fried brains.
True. Yeah. All right. So last question is for Tammy.
This is the last question, but I think we kind of have the answer about what are you working on next, right? It sounds like you're trying to find a new way to breathe life into teaching somehow that's not publishing.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. And hopefully, there will be a ray of light of inspiration. But
so aside from the future Herbert, what is the current Herbert doing right now?
I actually spent the day working on a program to help map radio frequency propagation.
For the purpose of?
For getting radio-based internet out to rural areas that Starlink doesn't go. You take topology maps and LiDAR and figure out how you can possibly get some signal out to this remote village somewhere.
I'm noticing a pattern here with you.
I like remote villages.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, you're working on, how do you pronounce it? LibreQoS?
LibreQoS, yeah.
LibreQoS. You brought the ISP out to a rural area, and now you're working on this new project with radio waves.
Which is also with the same people at LibreQoS.
Is it? So. Okay. Did I ask you this? How did you get into? I mean, I know you said you met this guy at Walmart, but what was it that, or what is it that intrigues you the most about the internet problem?
Well, initially it was really hard. I like hard problems, but I like radio just conceptually. There's so much to learn in terms of different antenna patterns, different radio parts, how you point them together.
Yeah.
What happens when you do? What happens when you interfere with somebody else's garage door opener? Which I've done by mistake. What happens when you exceed the power levels and the FCC call you? All that fun
nice
stuff. But you avoid that one. I strongly recommend everyone avoid that one. They're mean. I just find it fascinating, and at the same time, it feels like I'm helping.
Yeah.
Which is always important.
So if our listeners wanted to find you online, reach you, what's the best way they can do that?
Twitter, or I guess it's x.com. I'm Herberticus. I'm also Herberticus on Blue Sky. And I'm on Mastodon, but I can't remember my address.
Is it Herberticus?
It's Herberticus, but I can't remember the second part. It's Herberticus at, and then there's always an at and another server. I think it's Fostodon. Free open source software to Don. So that's the easy way. If you type Herbert Wolverson, at least into a search engine, at least last time I checked, there weren't very many other people with that name.
There are not, which is good, right?
Yep, the last one I met was my granddad. So.
Well, there you go. Listen, we're going to head over to the after show. You're welcome to hang out. We'll probably talk about this, that, and the other thing. I'm thinking it might be a conversation about AI. I've got a lot of thoughts about AI right now and training and teaching. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to not stay. It's entirely up to you.
I can stay for a few more minutes. I've got to get my little one to bed in about 15 minutes.
All right. Well, then, Tim, you know what that means, right?
What does that mean?
That means I'm going to try and wrap up the show properly this time. Yeah, we'll see. I still don't have my script, so I don't know. Well, that wraps up another episode of Roundabout Creative Chaos. You can find us on the web at roundaboutcreativechaos.com. It is a new domain, so it is out there. It is working, and the website is finally set up. If you have any questions or guest requests, you can send them to interviews@roundaboutcreativechaos.com. And that's it. We'll see you in the after show.
If any zombies happen to get into your house, go for the brains. We insist. Do not leave your house. Thank you very much for your cooperation.
I just want to start a flame.
See, that was better than last time, right, Tim?
Yep. Oh, I have your roundabout here. Your
Do you?
Outro.
Do you have
yeah,
it?
I do. Yeah.
I should make you
found
do
it.
it from now on.
No,
So
don't
much.
do that.
You have such a better speaking voice than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do. So, Herbert, I don't know what to do about this AI stuff. It's kind of crazy.
So I promised faithfully I wouldn't give my AI rant. I had a full-on anti-AI meltdown the other day about, it's destroyed music, it's destroyed publishing, it's destroyed teaching. But really, I don't know. I just think it's different, and I'm afraid of change like everybody else.
How are we going to teach our youth, though, if there's no checks and balances? Because, like I said earlier, I feel like that there are not. It hallucinates a lot. I mean, there are ways around it. You could tell it will source the information, show me a link. I mean, I use it a lot for research, and then I have to still go out and see if what it told me was accurate. But then you're getting, you pull up a search engine, and the first bunch of results are all AI generated results. So, where are we going with this?
I wish we'd go back to teaching critical thinking so that you can evaluate whatever it is that you're reading, because that was my parents' rant, and I'm increasingly realizing they're right, that you don't so much need to learn everything as learn how to think.
Yeah, it's funny that you mention that, because just over the weekend, my daughter-in-law was putting in a new motherboard in her computer and a new CPU and just doing some general upgrades. And my younger son, everyone in my house, they're in their mid-20s at this point. They all moved back when COVID hit, so that's why everybody is here. So anyway, she's working on her computer trying to put the cooling fan in there, and it wasn't fitting. And my younger son is really good with building computers and technical knowledge and whatnot. So she asked him, could you help me with this? And I said earlier, he wants to become a teacher. So instead of just doing it for her, or telling her how to do it. He gave her the tools to go find out how to do it, to know what questions to ask online and to figure out where to go. And she ended up doing it herself and putting the fan on, and it's all working now. And later that night, she says, I got to tell you, I really appreciated him teaching me how to learn the thing I needed to learn versus just giving me the information. You know, it's like you said, critical thinking. And I don't know if that's going to keep being a thing moving forward.
Yeah, I hope so. Just because it doesn't seem like we're going to get very far without it. If one of my Robert that I work with at LibreQoS was complaining that people are just outsourcing basic thinking to ChatGPT, like tell it what's in your fridge and it tells you what to cook. Actually, I was on a plane next to a kid who paid for the Wi-Fi. I'm cheap, so I was watching his screen, and I noticed that he had one half of the screen was homework, and the other half was ChatGPT. And I've never seen someone cutting and pasting so fast. It was copy the question, paste, answer, back, and it was moving too fast for him to actually be reading anything that was going through. He was just a copy paste. In fairness, he could have won the copy paste Olympics, but I really don't believe that any of it ended his brain on the way through.
Yeah, and that's a problem. That's a big problem because, again, going back to what I said earlier, when you are training AI on its own content that hasn't been vetted, you're just creating a feedback loop that eventually, I feel like the more people are using it, the worse it's getting. But it's also kind of getting better in other ways. It's kind of a weird thing for me.
Yeah, and it's weird how people evaluate them too. Like, how many R's were in strawberry was everybody's trick question for a while.
Yeah.
And there's actually a technical reason why they failed that, because of the way they represent tokens are not always just one letter. So they physically is no difference between a double R and another token sometimes. So they'd see it as one token, even though it's two letters. But the one everyone's raving about right now is I live 50 yards from the car wash. Should I... if I want to wash the car, should I drive? And a lot of the AIs will actually tell you it's easier to walk. And some of the expensive models will tell you, well, no, if you want to wash the car, you should probably bring the car.
Is it worth paying for?
I don't think you have a choice at this point.
I think it depends what you're doing. I am on an OpenAI Pro plan, and it's subsidized by work, so I enjoy it while I have it.
OpenAI's ChatGPT, yeah?
Yeah, and their coding agent is pretty good.
If someone is evaluating the use of AI, where do they start? There's so many options out there.
Yeah, and it really depends what you want to do, too. Like, I've been liking OpenAI because it writes good Rust. I don't know if I in terms of, talkative personality, it's a lot like talking to somebody who scratches their nails on the blackboard every few minutes. It's every bit as friendly as a Abrams tank. Claude is really good at being nice.
Yeah, Claude writes good Swift code better than ChatGPT does, I find.
But I always felt that Claude was, one compliment away from declaring me Nobel laureate. But at the same time, it's a much nicer writing style. Some of the Chinese models, like, I use DeepSeek sometimes because it's actually decent at analyzing problems. I highly recommend, I think it's Qwen, it's how you say QWEN, reading the thinking traces, because that is one demented robot. It goes through line after line of, but wait, what if I... No, that's not what the user wanted. At one point I saw it saying, no, this is all wrong. I have failed. I should not be allowed to write code anymore.
That's a little concerning. I don't know.
Talk about imposter syndrome, right?
I didn't think AI could have imposter syndrome.
Apparently.
No, but they can pretend. They're perfect imitators, so if you convince them they're in a position that a human would have imposter syndrome, they're going to fake it.
True. True. I just find it pretty interesting to see how people are using the same model and getting different responses. And I know a lot of it is the prompts that are being used, but it's still kind of weird.
Yeah, and some of them store memory so they remember your previous interactions.
I turned
so
all
they can
that
kind
off. I don't like it when it remembers me. I don't always say nice things to it.
I was going to say the trickiest part about using AI, I find, is when it suggests something and it's right, and you don't need to tell it it's right because you're just going to waste tokens. I find it difficult not to sort of say, "Hey, that worked. That was a good suggestion." I just ignore it and just carry on with what I'm doing.
Do you though? Because I find that I think the same way, and I would say
like
that
if you say please and thank you, if you say please and thank you to it, you're wasting code. You're wasting tokens.
Yeah, I waste huge amounts saying thank you all day long. Yeah. So there's probably a lake boiling somewhere because of my thank yous, but
yeah, it is a drain on the environment. That's a side effect that I don't think enough of us think about.
True.
I know I don't think about it enough, and I probably should. Although lately I've been thinking about just canceling all my subscriptions to AI and just going back old school.
What were you thinking, Tammy?
I don't know. I'm getting frustrated with it. So There's that. Anywho, don't you have a little one you got to get to bed?
I do. Her bedtime is coming up, so she was in the distance. I can kind of hear what sounds like her getting out of the bath. So
that means there's water everywhere.
Oh yeah, every night. Yeah, and thank you for having me. I hope I didn't talk too much, but
no, you didn't. I'm still a little rusty, no pun intended, at interviews. Like I said, it's been almost 7 years, and it has been a minute, and I'm definitely rusty. So I appreciate you coming on and hanging out and dealing with my crappy interview style, because that's all I know.
It wasn't crappy at any time.
That's all I know. That's my style. I'm no Joe Rogan, but that's okay.
That's a compliment to you, actually.
Is it? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
And I'm hoping my voice isn't too different to what it used to be, because I actually have false teeth now.
No, and I wanted to hear the story about how you had lost your teeth.
Oh God, that was so. I was teaching at Raytheon, and they gave me a bagel, and since they're a government group, I called it a government bagel. So I take a bite into the bagel, and the bagel doesn't move, and one of my front teeth falls right out.
Oh.
And I'm too professional. I actually kept teaching for the rest of the session. Went off to see a dentist, and the dentist said, "Well, you're genetically screwed. The enamel on all of your teeth has failed at once." And he did some x-rays and said, "You're extra screwed because there's damage underneath them." And so I had every tooth in my mouth pulled.
Like every tooth?
Every single one in one session. And I was awake for it too, just numbing agent.
That sounds a little masochistic.
Yeah, it was cheaper though.
That, I can't even imagine. How long did it take for healing? Because you probably had to have them pulled and then wait for the dentures, right?
Well, they gave me the dentures the same day. I couldn't wear them for about a week. I'm still on the weird transition ones. They give you these extra big, stupid ones.
Wait, so this just happened?
November was when I had everything pulled out. They also lied to me. They said, it'll be fine. And so I got it done 2 weeks before Thanksgiving and had soup for Thanksgiving. But
was it turkey soup?
No. It was tomato. It was actually the mildest chicken I could find most of the time.
Mm-hmm. I used to have nightmares about all my teeth falling out. It seems you have lived my nightmare.
It's pretty terrifying. What they don't tell you is that apparently dentists over here will send you home while you're still bleeding.
Yes.
Where I grew up in England, dentists will keep an eye on you until you're not vomiting blood all over the car.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I get home my daughter comes in, I open my mouth to say hello, and, blood sprays everywhere over the living room,
Oh, no.
horror movie style. So she's traumatized, I'm traumatized, and I'm just getting used to it. I actually managed to eat a pizza for the first time since November last week.
I thought you said, that was the imaginary pizza today. That was a real pizza in a couple weeks
I had
ago?
a real pizza, yeah.
Okay, just checking.
It existed.
I'm concerned about your mental state at this point.
Oh, me too, every day.
But no, you sound fine. If I didn't know you had false teeth, I couldn't tell.
It took me about a month to learn to speak clearly again.
Yeah.
You never realize how much you rely on your teeth for things like T sounds.
Right.
How did that affect your public speaking and your training classes?
Well, I traumatized a group in January.
Did you shoot your false teeth right out of your mouth?
Yeah, I had a good 2 days, and then partway through the last day, I yawned and my lower teeth fell out.
They just like, oh no.
Well, you could honestly tell the age group almost immediately. Everybody over about the age of 40 was just like, yeah. The young kids there were just looking at me like, horror movie.
Yeah.
Does not compute.
What are the age groups of people that you're training?
Usually, nobody, who's still in college, but they're usually sort of junior programmers looking to move up. And then for some reason, I keep getting pulled into groups who've been using C++ for 20 years and have been told to switch.
Yeah. Would you say it's more company training or more, what's that word? Like conference goers, people coming in on their own?
I do workshops at big conferences for free because it's fun. And then I get paid the corporate training pays for it. So,
do you prefer the corporate over the conference or no preference?
I like the workshops because particularly at RustConf, people will ask you the most oddball questions. It was weird. I went to GopherCon, everybody's in suits or the classic corporate, polo shirt plus khakis. You go to RustConf, you've got people dressed up in furry costumes with pink hair, and that's my people.
Yeah. That sounds better, honestly. All right. Well, Tim, do you have any questions before we wrap up?
No, I think we should let Herbert go off and deal with your younglings.
All right, Herbert.
Yep, she doesn't sleep, so she'll have my attention for the next 4 hours.
She is a future coder.
Nice.
She's.
Oh yeah.
That's how that starts. Well, listen, man. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. I'll send this out when it's done, and I'm looking forward to hearing it in post, so that Tim can bitch about something that I've done to the audio.
Well, thank you so much.
And she's going to leave that in the shower just so people know.
I will. And you're welcome. All right. Good night.
Good night.
That's it for this episode of Roundabout Creative Chaos. Thanks for sticking around to the end. That's how we know you're one of the good ones. When you're ready for more, come find us at roundaboutcreativechaos.com. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, tell somebody. Leave a review, follow us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, and point a friend in our direction. It's the best thing you can do for us and for them. Well, short of sending snacks, anyway. So, see you next time, and remember, the zombies are still out there, so stay sharp, keep your brains intact, and whatever you do, don't forget rule number 1, cardio.